Hey, what's going on? It's Katie and the Don here, and we're going to be going over the Pokemon TGC Pocket metagame. So right now we're in about the second week of the format, the new format with the Ultra Beasts, and I wanted to take a look at what's been going on in the format, right? So if we take a look here, let me just get my glasses so we can take a proper look. Okay, let's take a look here. What we've seen so far in the metagame as it stands right now is we have a lot of Silvally Rampardos, right? We have a lot of Buzzwole Pheromosa, Solgaleo, Shiinotic, Dark Tina still floating around, about a 50% win rate. A little bit lower than it was before, but it's still prevalent, still up here. We have Buzzwole, but with more of, I think this one's like more of a Kartana variant versus the Pheromosa stack. Then we have Charizard EX, Incineroar EX that's making a return. I don't think that they're running any Oricorio like counters other than just the stage ones, right? And then of course the burn from Incineroar. Then we have Charizard Silvally, pretty decent. We have Guzzlord Nihilego, double Decidueye, Mousecurada Decidueye, and then Silvally Blissef. Honestly, even with a 49% win rate, honestly, this is probably my favorite Silvally variant right now. It's been performing pretty well for me anyways, no matter if I go second or first. Then we have Giratina EX with Magnezone standard. Then we have Silvally Oricorio, and then so on and so forth. We have a bunch of other ones down here. It's like Garchomp Rampardos, Stoutland Gallade is pretty decent. Zeraora Silvally is one I've been trying to try out essentially because it seems pretty interesting. Start with Zeraora. Don any energy up to your Silvally if needed. The only problem is if you brick, that's the only issue, and it's pretty prone to bricking with Zeraora. That's unfortunate, but every like Tapu Koko or electric deck I've tried with Zeraora on it, or any deck list with Zeraora I've tried, usually ends up bricking. I don't find Zeraora on my turn one, so now he's useless. So it's like you find him late and now you don't have Zeraora. Only issue with that, but is what it is. But let's take a look at the recent Ursa days that happened this weekend. This was on the 7th, I believe, on the Saturday. And taking a look at the meta share for this tournament here, we can see that Buzzwole Pheromosa had the majority of the players for the most part, and then the next runner-up was Solgaleo Shiinotic, followed by Silvally Rampardos. Now these three are probably like the top three, the big three of the meta game currently, right? So we have a lot of Buzzwole, a lot of Solgaleo, and then a lot of Silvally. I'll combine every Silvally variant into that, right? So there's a lot of Silvally. We can see Solgaleo has the higher win rate out of them, but I wouldn't pack that up to like that being the overall best deck. You know what I mean? Because like, again, like it's all variants in terms of how many players are going first or second, or if they're finding their cards, similar things, right? Every deck list has the capability of bricking, right? So that's why I wouldn't take all these win rates like too crazily. Like take it all with a grain of salt. That being said, though, I see one here with 56% win rate. Now, for me, when I play Silvally Zeraora, matter of fact, let's pull up the deck list and let's talk about that. All right. So taking a look at Silvally Zeraora, we can see that this guy here, Yorusats, he's got a 10-1 score for this $150 tournament. That was on the 6th. The thing with this deck list is it's very good when you're going second and you have type null. It's very good when you're going first and you have Zeraora, right? Or if you find your Zeraora and maybe a type null on the bench, it gets great when you're doing that. Only issue that I've seen when playing this deck list is if I don't find my Zeraora, right? If I don't find my Zeraora on my first turn, he's pretty much useless. Like there's no other way to kind of set that up because you have two Dons, right? So it's like you are gonna end up not bricking, but you have to play around that. Like if you don't get Zeraora, like you're kind of just having wasted cards, two of them in your deck list. You can still use Don. Like let's say you have Silvally in front and you want to switch out to an Oricorio to wall something or face tank and attack from an EX. Then you can Don up from that other Silvally that you just retreated with, and then you can attack with Oricorio. You can still play around with it. Only issue is I just don't like having Zeraora and not finding him on my first turn. That always feels pretty bad. Okay, it always feels pretty bad when you don't find Zeraora, unfortunately. All right, but let's spin it back to a different Silvally deck list. The main one that everyone's been running since the start of the format, since like week 1, right? Silvally Rampardos, still a big thing up here. Even though in this Ursa Days tournament it had a 46% win rate, well, it's a lot worse than it used to be. Like if we take a look, where is it? 45.67% win rate, because most of the decks right now are built around these top meta decks, right? So it's like there's a lot of counterplays for them, right? Like a lot of people are running fire decks to counteract the Buzzwole and the Solgaleo, and then they also have the Solgaleo and kind of Buzzwole that also counters Silvally deck list, right? Right, those were made to counter this. So Silvally's having a rough time, the Rampardos variant anyways. Let's take a look at that deck list. So I think this is Gonks. Gonks went 9-2, and he's running very standard Silvally Rampardos, right? So you have the type nulls, then you have the Rampardos, and then of course a bunch of supporters. And you can play around with these supporters, right? You can have Red, you can have Giovanni for the mirror match. This guy has a giant cape, I'm guessing to get him out of like the kill range from Buzzwole on Rampardos, or to get them out of Giovanni range for Silvally, potentially, right? So overall, pretty decent deck list. It does work, especially if you're going second, you're going to have a very good time, as well as if you find your fossil. That's the main thing too, is like you have to find your fossil so you can get Rampardos on live anyways. So that can also be a little bit tricky, but yeah, I mean, it is a solid deck, let's be honest. Even though it's at a 45% win rate of this tournament, that should be fine. I think overall though, yeah, overall and just like the regular meta share in terms of all the matches that are on Limitless, it has a 53% win rate. So again, see, this is why we want to take the win rates with a grain of salt, because it's still a good deck list, even though in this tournament it was suboptimal, just because there's a lot of plays around it. A lot of people are trying to work around that deck list, right? So the Buzzwole Pheromosa. So taking a look at Ken's deck list, this guy went 11-2 and then 1. He had a tie, right? So he opted for 2 Buzzwole, 2 Pheromosa, 2 Celesteela. So no Kartana at all in this one. 1 Leaf Cape, a red card for those stage 2 decks, I'm guessing. A Guzma, as well as just 1 Lusamine. Interesting. And he has double Erica for the healing. I just noticed that I didn't go over the giant cape. I completely missed that when I was going through it. But yeah, one thing about the giant cape here is that it's actually able to be added to Celesteela, right? So you are sacrificing 1 Leaf Cape from the Buzzwole that you would probably put it on, but that's okay, because now Celesteela is probably going to be able to survive a big beat from an opposing Buzzwole, or another attack from maybe a Silvally after it evolves. Like let's say it attacks you with a type null, and then it evolves, you have the Leaf Cape, you're going to live that attack. Unless they flip heads, then you're kind of cooked. But one thing to note. All right, back to the video. But so far, this is a pretty decent one. The 1 Lusamine kind of scares me in terms of setting up your next Buzzwole. But like if you don't find Lusamine, you're kind of screwed. But there's a lot more tech in this deck list than, let's say, this variant, which has 2 Lusamines and a Kartana. Personally, I prefer this deck list just because it's overall a little bit easier to win the Charizard matchup with the Kartana. And again, like I'm playing on the ladder, right? Because like in ranked ladder, like this is a lot better for fighting off Charizard, because you can hit 40 on the Charmander. Next turn you can kill it, even with a giant cape, because the giant cape will bring it to 80. And then you have the red card as well, just in case you want to just throw that out, get rid of their rare candies in their hand, or the Charizard EX in their hand, just get rid of that, right? So this is a great deck list. And it works very well, especially if you're finding all your stuff. You got your Kartana, you got your Celesteela, Buzzwole's on the bench. You start ramping it, you're pretty much good to go, right? Got some healing. In this one, there's no Leaf Cape, I just noticed. Rocky Helmet's also decent. And it's better than Leaf Cape for Kartana and Pheromosa, because like there's no point really Leaf Caping them unless maybe you're going up against Dark Tina and you want to stop the pings. But 9 times out of 10, that Leaf Cape is going on Buzzwole, right? So, and then of course Rocky Helmets can just deter attackers. So those are pretty decent. Yeah, Solgaleo coming in at 52% win rate so far, and then in this tournament coming in at another 51.9%. So Solgaleo is pretty standard. It's just a very solid deck list. If we take a look here, so this guy went 12-1 on June 6th. So he's opting to play 2 Shiinotic. Well, this is very standard. So 2 Shiinotic, Cosmog, everything, right? So the only thing he's not running is that Duskmane variant. I know a couple people are running the Duskmane to kind of have an answer for Oricorio, but he's opting for Iono, double Lily with no giant cape, a Cyrus, and a red card. Okay, so it's pretty decent. It's going to help against Buzzwole. You can one-shot that if it has no Leaf Cape. If you find your Solgaleos, both of them, and you set them up on the bench, you're pretty much chilling. right? So that's why this deck list is so strong, right? You just get Shiinotic online, and then you start sifting all the Pokemon out of your deck, and then now you're just left with supportive cards, and you just kind of attack and go attack for attack, right? And if you have Lily, if you have 2 of them, you're pretty much good to heal both Solgaleos. Only thing I don't like is that there's no Leaf Cape. If you're running Lily, I like the Leaf Cape just because most things are hitting for like 120 or above 120 in terms of like the strong attackers. So it's like when you heal with Lily, let's say you get hit by a 120, you're going to heal, you're going to go back to 60, I believe. So that way you can get above that threshold, so that way you're not taking another attack and dying to it. But again, if they have Guzma, then like there goes your efforts, but it is what it is. But yeah, overall, great deck list. All right, next variant we're going to cover is Silvally Blacephalon. Again, I've already mentioned this is probably my favorite one. Even though it has a 49% win rate, that's kind of rough for today's weekly. Maybe they just got unlucky. Let's see, how is it doing in just the regular format? I feel like it should be doing pretty decent. Do they even have it? Silvally Blacef, 49%. It says, I don't know. It doesn't really feel like 49% because my win rate, I've been on a couple of streaks with it. TTA Weeleek, I believe. He's running, I think he has a Heatran in his. Yeah. So this guy's running a Heatran. Interesting. Heatran and Guzma. And double Mars. Interesting. So I don't have a Heatran in mind. I'm running something closer to this variant. No Guzma as well. I think I have PCL, so Pokemon Center Lady, as well as a Cyrus, I believe. I have to double check. I'm going to double check, but my variant doesn't have a Heatran for sure. I know that for sure. But it's interesting because if you have a Heatran in the active spot, you can attach the energies to it. If it takes damage, you're going to attack for 80. So that's clearing any Pheromosa, any Kartana, right? Because they're going to attack you first for sure. Maybe they'll opt to not do it, but yeah, you're going to do pretty good against that matchup. Charizard, it's pretty standard as well. Like if you start, depending if you start like type null, you can go in there. And if you're starting second, then you're already kind of up. Because then you just do what Silvally does best, which is just stall. Well, not stall, but like handle the early game pretty well, right? Especially going second. So they don't have any leaf. Well, this guy has leaf. So he doesn't have leaf in his. He opted for 2 Mars. Mine is more similar to this, like I was saying, has 2 leaves. Instead of Guzma, it has a Mars. And then, yeah, that's basically the same as compared. And it's been doing pretty decently, like I said. I'm surprised it has a 49% win rate because that's not what it's like for me. Probably closer to 50, 51. But yeah, that's so far the Silvally Blacephalon deck lists. All right, we got Guzzlord and Naganadel. Now this might be a little similar to the one that I showcased last week. Because I had one similar to this. The only thing is I didn't have Guzzlord in the deck list. I had Darkrai. Right, so this is just using majority of just Ultra Beasts. Doing fairly well, 52%. And let's see what they got in there. Very standard. Puyolpul, Naganadel, Celesteela, Guzzlord, and Nihilego. Only Pokemon you need. Research, Lusamine, Mars, Cyrus, Pokeball, and then 2 Barbs. This is a very great deck list. Honestly, it's better than the one I posted last week. Because again, all Ultra Beasts, you get to make use of Celesteela. I have tried this one out. And it's very good. Very good. Especially when you pull all the things that you need, right? So Puyolpul, Naganadel. That's what you want to have in your active spot so you can add poison. But not always going to work like that, unfortunately. A couple of games, it's like I ended up bricking. Right? So I got my Puyolpul, never found Naganadel. And then, or either didn't find the Nihilego. But either way, right? The worst part of this deck list is not getting your Naganadel online, right? But if you do find that, you're pretty much smooth sailing. And then again, you can add a Barb to your Guzzlord in the active spot. If they attack, well, they're taking damage from poison. And then you can grind core to try and de-ramp their Pokemon and have them stall a little bit more energy and then go from there, right? But overall, very good deck list. Looking for the ones that are more recent. So June 8th, this guy went 9-4. This guy went 6-2. Let's go with the 6-2. Let's see what you're rocking. This one opted for no Puyolpul, no Naganadel. Honestly, I understand it. I understand it. Because it does not feel good to not ever draw into your Naganadel. So in this case, I'm guessing that he's just going to go into Guzzlord, tank everything, have some healing. So he has double PCL. So Pokemon Center Lady, you can heal that up. attach a poison barb and then have 2 Nihilegos on the bench, plus a Celesteela. They're taking a lot of damage, plus the Grindcore, you're de-ramping them. This is overall a great deck list. I don't know if you want to opt to go for Guzzlord first. I think that's how I would pilot it. But I guess some games you're going to have to start with Nihilego. Maybe have them go through a Nihilego. Have Celesteela maybe face tank a couple of things while you're setting up your Guzzlord on the bench. And then maybe if Nihilego goes down, maybe you find your next one, have it on your bench while they're already poisoned, and you're still getting that poison damage going, right? So a lot of different ways to pilot it. I think having Guzzlord in the active spot and just like ramping him and going to attack with him, and then maybe having a second one on the back line, and then loosening into that, and having them go through 2 Guzzlords while you have Nihilego on the bench. I think that's probably the best way to run this one, just because like you're attacking for a lot of damage, eventually with Tyrannical Hole, and then you're also grindcoring those energies off while they're taking poison damage if you find your barb, right? And of course they have to attack you for that. So don't add all the barbs to everything right away, because of course Guzma is a thing. So just be careful with that. Overall, I wanted to look at the standings for this last week Ursa Days, the one that just went on Saturday. Saturday the 7th, I believe. This is double check that actually. Saturday the 7th. Ursa Days Pocket Weekly number 29. Here are the standings. So surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, we do actually have a Dark Tina at the number 1 spot for this Ursa Days. So like even then, like taking a look at all the deck list, like even though Giratina overall is like the 4th deck list of this format, according to all the stats that we have from Limitless, it's still a great deck list. Like taking a look at this, it's still 1. And I believe they're running the, no, they're not even running the Nihilego variant. They're running like an old style, like Giratina deck list. Yeah, this is like a 1985 Giratina deck list. This is like format, like 2 formats ago, right? Like the start of ranked. But anyways, it's still a great deck list, right? Like you just have less brick potential with this deck, right? You're gonna find your cards for sure. Maybe the only problem is like finding some specific supporter cards, but even then you have 2 red cards in here, a lot of hand disruption, a lot of healing, the damage, like periodic damage with Darkrai's ability, plus the Rocky Helmet. Giratina's ramping itself. Overall, this is always going to be a meta deck, and it's just going to probably stay like that, right? But yeah, so far that's what we're dealing with in terms of the meta for this format. If you guys enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, of course, because 95% of you guys that are watching this are not even subscribed. What's going on with that? I understand though. Sometimes I forget to subscribe too, but I'm letting you guys know. If you guys want to see more of these, of course, stay around, ring the bell if you're new, and then leave a comment. Let me know what you guys feel about this format. If it's something that it's expected to you guys, if you guys are having fun, where you guys are currently at, maybe you guys are already at Master Ball. Who knows, right? Yeah, I'd like to know that. But anyways, hope you guys take care. Katie the Dawn signing out. Peace.